Hello, all of you wonderful beings out there, and welcome to the recording, because this is only going to YouTube. This is DevTales, where we're going to be working on our SCAR system, or Stories and Creatures in Alternate Realities. This system is available for open playtest on our Discord, as well as itch.io. Go take a look at it, let us know what you think. And yeah, for now, let's see here. Got a few things on the list today. Just a smidge. Not counting
Yeah, for a
the
good portion. Yeah, a good portion of it's just the feet thing.
yeah. Um
Beat thing?
Uh, Remember how last time we were talking about how we need to give more support to the various maneuvers and about how we were going to make feats for all the maneuvers like as a standard in order to do like the quick action-y things, but Zim wanted me to come up with like more creative specific ones besides those.
Right, I'm assuming you got that then?
Yeah.
Alright, awesome. Is in the notes?
Yeah. It's just if you scroll down on the to-do list, because normally we just put like feats there. So it's just like at the bottom.
Nope, there they are. Got it.
Yep. Granted, not all of these are balanced, and I do not expect all of these to get like accepted. But I'm just like, all right, cool. Here's a baseline.
well, the first thing I'd like to go over, which is what's been holding up the next update, um, are the discounts. Because currently, we've got the half cost for skills and everything else. The cap for a discount is 25%. And we wanted to review that. So, what are thoughts on that?
we
The
go ahead?
God.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say the half cost thing for skills. It makes sense. Like I'm good for that. On the especially because the level of training is the other half. For that, unless you're talking about the level of training giving the half, but
Well, if you're getting trained by, a trainer or such, it doesn't matter for the XP discount cap is just flat, regardless of where the training comes from. So if it's just them doing it by themselves, um, that comes into play with the initial academics roll for determining how much of a discount they get. Um, so, like, if they have help from a proper instructor, then the academics roll is at normal difficulty 7. If they've got a book or help from someone that has at least some ability to teach them, then the check is made at +1 difficulty, and without any assistance, then the training check is made at +2 difficulty. But as for the
yeah,
actual cap, it does not have any play on how much they can have.
no. So what I was talking about was the whole for the skills, the level of training that we made. Like where if you have level 1 training in a skill, you get half of the cost of level 1, like your first rank in that refunded as discount. So is that going to be on top of that, or is that like our representation of the half cap?
I'm not following what you're talking about.
Um Let me see if I can. So can I find it in the thing really quickly? Let's see.
It's page 190 in the doc.
So what I was referencing was how we made it so that way. Remember how I made it on the new version of the character sheet? How there's the level of training drop down.
I don't recall seeing that, but I believe you that it was there.
Yeah, because when we were talking about it at the time, it was because getting a level of training in a skill would give half the cost of that rank. So I was just wanted to know if that was the if this is how we like pivoted slightly to codify that, or
So, level of training isn't necessarily a thing. It's just okay, your trainer is, say you're trying to level up Brawl. Your trainer has 3 dots in Brawl. You have none. So then you can get the standard 7 difficulty on the roll from the trainer up until you have 3 dots.
well, fuck. Do I have to rework the sheet then?
Possibly.
Because when we were talking about it at the time when I was making the sheet, we made it so that way, you could get a level of training where it was half the cost of the thing, and then when I even like did the math at the time on what that was and baked that into the sheet.
Yeah, that's how I thought that worked as well. That's why I was kind of confused by that whole thing.
No, that wasn't how I understood it and how we had it in the notes. And not what I put into the document.
Well, I thought the level of training was a separate thing. Where you could get like a level of training, but that's different than the discount, because that didn't go in the discount column, because that was a separate thing. The level of training, when we talked about it at the time, was more of like a.
I thought
Good.
I thought the level of training was because we wanted to separate, or we wanted it to be more codified when you get professional training versus, just sitting in a room reading a book.
That was a reach. So that was what he proposed. But we ultimately decided not to go with that because that was, KISS. It was going to get far more complex keeping track of, okay, I've had this much training from this particular person, they had this much to offer, etc., etc. And then it just got really complicated with a lot of extra steps of tracking, so we made it a simple, okay, if they've got more than you, you get difficulty 7. If they've got the same, then it's difficulty, or same or less, then it's difficulty 8. If you've got no help, then it's difficulty 9. And it had no bearing otherwise. It was just they had to actually be, superior to you to give proper training.
I guess I'm worried about restricting discounts too much.
Yeah, because I thought that's why we had the half cap, because like half of it could come from trading, and then the other half would be from like reward or character action or the like.
Well, we discussed it, and it was ultimately that there was just that cap of half of what you put into it.
Huh. I must have been confused or dead that day. Was that one of the multi-meeting days I had?
Probably.
Okay.
That seems to be basically every session.
It's been getting better. I've been getting left alone recently. Like, today I didn't have any meetings. It's just everything exploded because everybody decided to go live next week. So it's like, well, okay, I got 80 things to do today. Great.
Yeah. Although in defense and to be fair, I thought it worked the exact same way as you did, Era. So.
Yeah. So, because that's why I thought we did the whole like you can't get 100% of a discount on a move without like actual like somebody else training you to do it. So that way you could get half training on your own or up to half the XP, but not the full amount unless you had a trainer.
I'm just going. All I can say is that it's in the notes. We did cross out part of like I crossed out part of it and or made it red because we were adding unnecessary complication onto it. But like the notes themselves back me up here. I, for one, definitely don't think that they should be able to just get stuff for free through training. Because that can get out of hand fast. And there's also other things like, in the case of Nova, being forced to have, I forget which skill, I think it was etiquette.
Yeah. I think it was etiquette, yeah, where I got like 5 discount XP, so now I have to have a dot in there.
Yeah. I still think it needs to have some XP investment, so I don't think it should go full, no matter what. That said, like, these are where things are standing on this.
Yeah, I could have swore that we rediscussed it at some point, and that was at one of the... Because I do remember mentioning how there was a meeting where we discussed some stuff, but we didn't actually write it down, because we didn't have a note taker at that point, and we were used to having one. And I swear to God we changed how some of this worked. But I don't remember exactly when it was. I think it was sometime in April.
All I know is that we've got the notes in March where we put down what I put into the document, into the main book here. We got the notes from that, and then we had these definitions of solo, assisted, and instructed, which was kind of just convoluted. And so we did away with that part.
Yeah, because that was the one where it was like the 5 versus 10 versus 15 caps, as opposed to it just being, whatever you get is what you get, which is what I was in favor of.
But like, we've been taking our own notes for quite some time now, so
Yeah, it's been months, but I was saying like the last one. I'm pretty sure we discussed like some of this stuff in. I'm pretty sure it was April, because that's when we started taking our own notes again. April, May.
Excuse me.
But I mean, at least from like training discount, I guess it doesn't matter that much for the skill portion. But I'm still in favor of them getting like a level of training where it's, you know, you've received, because I think I mentioned this back then too. I swear to God, I'm getting deja vu about this. But I like it where it's like a level of training where, like, you know, let's say you've received level 2 training in subterfuge. And then so you only have to mark down that you've gotten that level of training as, like, you know, your official training level. And then, like, any discounts you get for whatever other various reasons would just go in, like, the discount column on top of that. Because that's how I thought it was working.
I have no recollection of this at all.
Oh boy.
Era, do you remember the whole level of training thing?
Yeah, I remember that. I don't remember the half discount max though. That part confuses me. So I'm just like,
Well, that's what we set the level of training to at the time. Like
okay,
the
that
one
would make
half
more
cap, that
sense.
was the level. That was what you got for getting a level of training.
Yeah, so
Well, regardless of what we've discussed, let's go ahead and proceed with where we're at right now. With the
Yeah.
rules as they are right now, because we can rediscuss new things and what we want to do going forward. I personally don't see any reason to have a tracker of what level of training people have in something. Because I also don't want them to just not be able to train something up if just because they don't have a random person or book to train them.
No, so when it was level of training, it was what just to explain like how, because like remember discussing this, how we had it work was we changed it to the difficulty thing, and then once you got the level of training, regardless of how you got it, you had it now. Like the level of training was just to like be a breakpoint system for, okay, you've gotten this level of training, you get this amount. Like that was what we did. It wasn't a you need to have a you need to have an instructor to receive like, you know, level 1 training in something. Instead it was just a, oh hey, you know, you have achieved enough training to get a to, you know, receive this breakthrough benefit thing. Like that's how we had it working, not the you need to have a trainer in order to get that full thing.
here's what I say for now. If we got to rediscuss it, let's just remove the discount cap for the time being because it sounds like we're on 3 different pages, unfortunately.
Well, the whole point of this is to discuss this and figure it out.
Yeah,
And I
that's what we're
want to,
doing.
Yeah.
yeah. I don't want to remove
Yeah,
it.
so
I want to discuss it and figure out where we want to stand on it.
Okay.
because I think that a uh like as a reasonable thing, getting up to half of something in like direct training discount is a pretty good cap to have across the board.
Yeah. And as far as I'm concerned, it's a fair amount to. Like, this is. As far as I'm concerned, this should be just the standard period. Um, so, this would include any other discounts they go against that cap as well. Obviously, storytellers are always allowed to, bend that rule. And we can specify that storytellers can go above this, but we don't recommend it. I'd be okay with making it where... I don't know, I don't think we should have moves be able to get to half. But I might be the only one that thinks that. Everything else, I'd be okay with half.
Kind of does wonky numbers to specialties.
Well, specialties would just go to 8.
Okay.
But then, if you repeat it and then master it and all that, like, the discount cap would be on the specialty itself, and since it gets shared if you repeat it, and it's all technically still the same specialty, you could master it and then spread it over to a couple of skills, and all of a sudden your EXP cap on that particular specialty is like 20.
Okay, so it does actually go to shared traits? Is that what we're going with when it comes to specialties?
As far as I'm concerned, like, the base specialty, you get the cap of 8, but then you want to repeat it, well, there you got 3 more. Want to repeat it again? Here's another 3 discount that you could earn towards that repeat.
Okay, that makes more sense, because I thought by itself it was kind of like,
Each
but if it's like...
part of it has the cap.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not... The thing that I'm, like, a bit iffy on is I think that people should be able to, like, earn discount stuff outside of that cap. I mean, because storytellers are probably going to ignore that anyway. If it's like, if I go like, oh, hey, take 10 XP due to XYZ thing, and you go, oh, I only have 7 available in my cap right now.
Well, the thing with that is that they can then later on spend to make up to use the rest of that.
Well, I'm saying for, like, skills.
Yeah.
Skills, it's very hard if, like, let's say it's your main thing, so it's what you, like, poured a bunch of training time into and all that, and then, like, later on in the game, they try to reward you, for... Because, like, it's like your main character's thing. Your character's main thing, and then it's just like, oh, hey, no, I don't have that available. And then it's just like, okay, well, now I can't give it to you.
Well, as far as I'm concerned with that, then it spills over into a specialty. Or like I did with WoW Traditions, I was like, okay, yeah, you guys can ask for something at least somewhat tangentially related, and I'll put the extra discount towards that. Like, that's how I figure it works. You can still keep earning discounts, it's just not directly applied to, like in this case, the skill. Instead, it'll be a specialty for the skill. Or perhaps, you're building up brawls, so your main brawl move gets the extra discount.
So long as it's flexible and where it can go for the half cap, I'm more okay with it. I just didn't want there to be like, okay, well, I don't want to fully train this up because I might get a reward for it later. So I want to have, the cap available to get a reward and not... Because, like, the moment that starts being a thing, I'm just like, okay, well, that's... oof, that ain't gonna go well.
I'm gonna have to relook at those discounts too, because I think I split them as much as I could.
But yeah, as for abilities, I think abilities should also have the half cap for standardization, but also because it makes it really hard to get discount if we stick that at 25%. if I'm making like a random quick action move, and I have to do like 25% of that, for the vast majority of the game, it's just like, okay, well, I can get basically no discount on this. And if there's more headroom than someone can really make use of, I don't really know what if there's going to be problems that arise from that. Because that's just like a max discount cap. That's not a recommendation of what their discount should be at.
It would be easier if it was all just at half.
Alrighty.
Now, the one thing that I now need to bring up is character creation. Character creation no longer technically works with the half cap thing.
1 second while I make notes of what we've discussed so far.
All right.
Okay. I'm gonna go get a drink real quickly.
Okay, so I got that noted. Um, as far as character creation goes, they aren't actually, like, I assume it's just the skills in particular, the free skills.
Well, now technically speaking, the merit-based specialties, the starting specialty, the skills, none of that technically works
Why?
because now the limit is half the cap. You can't get 5 EXP discount on the first level of a skill.
These are technically not discounts.
Well, you get them for free.
Yeah, they're not discounts. They don't... Like, we put them into the sheet as discounts, but technically speaking, they are not discounts. They are just, you get them for free.
Getting something for free is 100% discount.
But we do not label them as discounts. And either way, I don't see how this is going to impact all of that, since, like, it's going to make it harder for you to get any additional discount, like on the getting to level 2. I guess there is that, like, 2 dots in a skill, that there is that. But like merit specialties, it's just, you've got this for free. You don't invest anything, it doesn't cost anything, you just have this.
Okay, but we're gonna need to make a note, probably, that those do not go by the half EXP cap discount thing.
Do we just want to word it or add a note that quote unquote free things don't ever apply?
I personally think it's an unnecessary note, but yes, we can put in a note.
Well, look, I'm just saying because, like, we're making rules for a tabletop. For that, if you go, all right, you get this for free, and then go later on that, you know, like, discounts are limited to half of the cap, there are going to be people that get confused over that. They're going to wonder, okay, which is it?
I hate to agree with Tal, but there are people like that. Or people that will be STing and be like, well, no, technically those weren't free. So we'll have to, unfortunately, put in the note that free and discount are different. Even though that might encourage an ST to give out free things, but that's their choice at that point. I only know because I've played with people like that.
Yeah, well, that's just why I'm bringing it up, is because I'm just like, people are going to get confused over that.
Alright, and on that note, I suppose we can go ahead and put in a note.
Steven, here is your reminder.
One moment, gotta take my meds real quick. Okay, sorry about that. I would say we'll put a blanket statement that specific discounts are outside of this XP, this training cap, basically, such as the signature ability. I'm okay with them having that on top of the half XP discount cap. But
Alrighty.
thoughts there?
So long as it's specified, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else we want to... So we're going to be changing to half of the invested XP discount across the board. So everything can have half discount. We're clarifying that XP discounts that go over the cap can be applied to something else related, such as skill discounts being applied to specialties or even abilities. And adding a note that specifies that starting skills and merit specialties are free and not considered a discount. And we'll specify that other system-granted discounts, such as signature abilities, can be benefited from on top of the half XP training cap.
That sounds right to me.
Yep.
All right. So there is that taken care of. Something else that in particular came up during that came to me during piercing the veil, honestly. Perhaps players could forego the effects of rest to help others. Um, like in, you know, in particular, the tank who takes most of the damage. Would be nice to be able to be like, okay, I'm gonna give up my rest effects to give them to you instead. Especially the case where the tank does their job and takes all the damage, and meanwhile the rest of them have nothing to actually regain from a rest. I'm open to, you know, figuring out how we want that to specifically work, but that's kind of the idea that I've got.
Well, if we're gonna put in that, it might be better to instead make something like an overheal pool. Like, you know, if your rest would overheal you, it can go into a pool to get assigned to different people. But
I like that idea better.
I'm a little bit iffy on it, but like if we are going to do it, that's probably how I'd want it to be implemented. That way they can't also go, oh, by the way, take my exhaustion recovery as well.
Did we want to make it a like maybe a very cheap feat?
I don't know about making that a feat. But, like, overall, well, like I said with Piercing the Veil, there we had the, I know one of the fights we had it where basically nobody had anything to, heal up except for Fervis.
Yeah.
He did his job.
But that's also because it was filled with
damage.
melee enemies, and then was just like, all right, cool. These things have no tactical instructions. Attack close thing.
Tank did his job. Tank got really hurt, and so we took a rest, but the tank was the only one that actually needed the rest. But I suppose alternatively we could do it where, as an option, if you can, you know, spend it tending to somebody else, and you can restore a certain amount to their health or armor or such. Well, probably natural.
I mean, that
defense,
feels like
but
that feels like it's just rolling a medicine check during the rest, during your I can roll things right now thing.
true.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, if we're going to do that, I would really want it to not be like the entire benefits of a rest regardless. And I'm saying this as someone who could really benefit from that, like with Rib, for example. If other people could go, hey, I only needed like one of this exhaustion recovery, have my spare exhaustion recovery. He would really benefit from that, but also like if we're going to do it, I really feel like it should only be limited to health. And it might be better as a feat, but that's...
Well, it doesn't even have to necessarily be an expensive feat, because we can make cheaper feats. Making this a small 5-pop like feat, 5 experience cost feat, a really cheap one, would almost be a no-brainer to take at some point in time and encourage it, but at the same time we're not just making it so that way, oh, we're doing this automatically.
I don't really want to put something into the system that people feel like they have to pick up. Which is what I worry about with if we make it a feat that they have to purchase. It's like... I fear that that could create conflict in the party. I feel like it's just a... Oh, you didn't pick this up? You don't care about the rest of us? Kind of thing. I don't want to put that on the table.
I'm also slightly worried about it being just something that everybody has access to, because if the tank always takes all the damage and everybody else is like pouring on those heals, there isn't long-term consequences become more difficult to put down. It's really hard to beat down the party after a certain point where, or beat down the tank to the point where they're down for a while, if that makes sense. Then again, I guess with all their healing rules right now, it doesn't really matter that much as long as you have a good medic on the team, does it?
It doesn't really, no.
So never mind, I guess that doesn't matter.
Yeah, I was about to say that. It really only matters for like long haul type things. So like reasonably, so long as it's only on long rests and it works like an overheal pool, I'm like fairly okay with it.
I kind of
Like
like
I'm still iffy.
I like the
but-
idea of the overheal pool. I think it should apply to natural defense, because that can't just be repaired. Obviously, artificial armor can be repaired, but natural defense cannot. But I like the idea of the overheal pool. So that way they're not getting, exhaustion and whatnot back, but at least they're getting to the same level that everybody else is, because they did their job. And obviously this doesn't necessarily have to apply to just tanks, it's just ideally the tanks doing their job.
Overheal it is.
We also don't have to put this in if you guys don't want it. It's just something that came to mind that I'm like, hey, this could be good.
I mean, it'll help, but the real long-term damage is picking up injuries, and this does not help with injuries, so...
Exactly.
Yeah. Else, as long as
I mean-
as long as we're not devaluing medics either in this process.
Yeah. Because, like, this does fucking all for injuries, so it's like, yeah, cool, you can get to your max HP. Max HP is currently half of your normal max HP. Cool, thanks. And to be fair, we used to have it so that way if you took a rest, it just worked like 5e did, where you just got to full HP immediately.
Yeah.
That was a while ago, but we used to have that, and this is a more balanced way to go. Like, hey, I'm squishy backliner that didn't get hit this entire time. I physically cannot benefit from the heal.
And, like, medics don't really help with healing during a rest anyways. Their purpose in a rest is treating to injuries. So it won't interfere with them. And this is me saying this is the one that plays a lot of healers. But, I guess to make it possibly a little bit more palatable, we could say that whatever goes into the health pool is halved. Because it's not actually your internal healing, you're helping somebody else, so it's only half effective. But would still go a long way to help.
I mean, yeah, I feel better if it's half.
Half sounds good.
And are we good with it being applied to natural defense as well?
I'm personally fine with that. How do you feel about it, Tal?
I mean, I'm fine with it anyway, especially considering, like, yeah, sure, we technically buffed it, but there's no real upgrade in order to... Thinking about it, we should also maybe make a upgrade to natural defense that lets your rest healing apply to your own natural armor. Your own
That
natural
might be
defense.
really good, honestly.
We should probably
Yeah.
make that, now thinking about it.
Yeah,
There isn't a thing for this. Wait, we should just do this.
we could just add this!
Tal.
When the devs realize they have free will.
You should add that as an offline quote, Zims. That way nobody that or the people that skip this video have no idea why it's there.
I
When
can
the devs
absolutely.
realize they have free will.
Yep. Devs when they realize they have free will. The devs from Scar when they realized they had free will.
And added.
Now to start the timer to see how long it takes Gimmon to find that.
I know, right?
What do you mean? He's right there. He's living in there.
Yeah, but you know, sometimes you can move a chair and nobody will notice for a week.
I will if it's in my office.
Okay, there's a difference between my house and my office. I live in my office, but if you moved a chair in the living room, it might take me a few days to realize. But that's besides the point. All right, so I think we have that settled.
Let me make the notes for it. With the half, do we want it to apply to both short and full rests, or... I am in
Well, I wanna
favor of
say-
all rests for it.
I was gonna say while I wanna say just long rests, kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah, also, like, let's be real here. People rarely pick the heal during a short rest thing because they're more planning on trying to do the whole hey, look, I might be at half HP, but, like, you know, I won't die instantly in a fight. That'll be okay, right, guys?
I want my
And try and
stats
get
back.
like the vigor and I want my vigor and exhaustion back.
Well, it'd help if y'all stopped making exhaustion monkeys.
Hey, I have exactly 2 of them, and one of them is for the extreme boss health bar tank. Riv has no excuse though; he just does that to himself. Besides, I upgraded Nova so that way he gets back 4 exhaustion from a long rest alone. He can afford to be a little bit of an exhaustion sponge.
Meanwhile, me, I should probably give Thales that one feat so that way he can get away from people attacking him now. Finally. And thus I did.
Alright, so now let's do that natural defense upgrade discussion. Where are you? There you are.
Yeah.
Well, we already have a name for it, fast regrowth.
Yeah, I'm about to say, fast regrowth 2.0.
Totally want to put 2.0 in there.
Do it? What's stopping you?
It'll be confusing to people once the system's fully released. Granted, we do have, you know, literally FWOM listed in the rules. So it's not like we're against memes, but still.
Just include an asterisk at the very end of the book where if you see things like 2.0 and or numerical values that make no sense to our things, it's because other things existed before it and we just never changed it, smiley face. Do the White Wolf, we made this change but just didn't tell you thing. Did you not read the comic? Jeez.
But anyways... So, what were you thinking? What were we thinking on that?
Or it just works the same way, where like when healing any during a rest, any excess can just go 1-to-1 into your natural defense durability.
Okay, that's what I was thinking, but I thought Era mentioned a slightly different thing. But
Nope.
okay.
I might
Yep,
have been
and then-
cracking a joke.
It would be like, I don't know, probably like a 12 XP thing.
12 or 15.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, like 12 to 15 range. Because it's good, but also, like, it doesn't, like, it's not exactly a, a hey, go up a weight class type thing.
Yeah. It's just really nice.
Alright, so any healing done during a rest beyond your max HP goes directly into your natural defense durability. I think that's good.
Yep.
And then, I think I'm good with 12 XP for it. Alright, got that noted. Next up, should we allow other items to be stored with hammer space? Possibly as an upgrade. Because currently it is only intended for equipment. Weapons, armor, hats. But I know that apparently Oki did not understand that it was only equipment and got approval from Enja to use it beyond just that, and so he basically has a bag of holding. I'm okay with it being an upgrade. But also I do worry that that might get a little broken. But what do you guys think?
I mean, there's already a bit of a blurry line between what counts as equipment and what counts as items, especially considering that boon items exist.
Yeah. Well, we also have that whole thing limited to like one item, right? With that upgrade. Like we did it via
Something
item
like that.
count.
It is specifically one single piece of equipment, at least at the base. But you can... Like, we do have an upgrade where you may store any number of mundane, non-storied items of clothing in your hammer space.
Yeah, that's clothing though.
Let's see, you can have, that makes it faster. This allows them to just have it automatically equipped to you, including attunement to the item. So, like, put your armor just appears on you. Swap allows you to swap one piece of or set of armor for another or other equipment. Storage treaty allows you to store one additional piece of equipment in your hammer space. You may repurchase it as many times as you wish. That is 6 XP per purchase. And so it would be, You spend 6 XP and you can store more items. More pieces of equipment, specifically.
I would be fine making an upgrade where you get access to a bulk storage area that you could just throw whatever into, but in order to do that, we're going to need to, like, actually go and recodify the bulk update thing. So I'd say yes, but we should do something else first. Because making it so that way the hammer space has an upgrade where you just get access to a section of miscellaneous bulk storage, that's pretty reasonable. What you use that for is up to you, but, like, first of all, it'd be expensive, and second of all, we need to actually, like, have bulk stuff codified properly again. Instead of it being, like, a thing that technically exists on paper a bit.
That would probably be the best approach, I agree. Which means that, Tal, you're going to have to take my bad words and make them into slightly more understandable words.
I mean, that's fine. I can do that before next dev session.
That works.
Yeah, that's the main reason I haven't implemented the bulk thing that Eric came up with, is because I don't understand what's going on with it.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it, but it's like, you know.
Well, that's great for you, but I don't.
Yeah, that's why I said the you know, as in, like, you know, that doesn't really help us here as much right now.
So let's do that and then come back to this. So I guess leave it on the to-do list for next time after bulk with the asterisk after bulk.
For now, I will make a note to codify, or to put in a note to specify what exactly is equipment. Which is technically specified up in the items chapter, but having another note here does not hurt. So I'll put that in for now, and then we'll leave it for later. Because, like, I know Sprocket just put the whole projector into his hammer space, and I'm like, that's not allowed, technically.
I thought that was a special item, not a other thing. Oh.
No, he's got hammer space, and that's where he put it.
Mm.
And I was like, that's not how that works. Enja approved it, so I'm kind of like, okay, fair enough. We're still going to discuss it in the dev session to figure out how we want to handle it in the system officially.
Yeah.
I thought it was cloak was a boon item. So I was like, oh, he's got like a specialty cloak of holding or something going on here. Well, so I just ignored it.
Boon items are that wouldn't fall under a boon item. That would be just an outright magical item. Because boon items are just something that are special to you that give you a bonus to one of your stats, or one of your skills. I will leave that for next time. I do see that we have bigger discussion here about hit stun and how it is currently optional. But we need to know if it'll break the system without it.
Yeah, one of the games I run, I've moved to not using hit stun in it because it's an optional rule. Because if the system can't work without it, it can't be optional. But if we're going to make it not optional, or something that's going to be part of the game, we might want to discuss how necessary it is for a party to have.
Yeah, so just to recount like what happened originally for why it's even listed as optional. some people got worried about it being a bit too complicated, and so wanted it to be optional because it's a little bit of a complicated system to like keep track of and all that. And when I originally designed a whole lot of the combat stuff that was going on when deciding numbers, running checks and all that, doing the builds, I made sure to mention that it was all with hit stun, and that without hit stun, fights last a lot longer.
Because unfortunately, we have seen cases with new players where they are confused by it, which means that if I'm fine with it being optional, but
yeah. So it's sort of a state where, on one hand, yes, it is confusing, but on the other hand, we kind of designed all of the combat around it being there in terms of like, balance reasons for, because we had a goal for about how many turns a combat should last.
So, since I think you kind of caught some of this, I'm the one that originally brought this up with Era because it was a thought I had. To clarify, the main concern I have about hit stun right now is looking at the system in terms of the reward structure that it provides and the incentives to create the behavior that we want out of the players. And I think hit stun is accidentally reinforcing unoptimal behaviors, where it's not even so much the complexity that I'm worried about, even though I do think it's a little bit of an administrative overhead that is kind of annoying maybe. It's not even the complexity. What I feel like is players will engage in combat, and the first thing that they're going to learn is hit stun, because everything that they're doing is applying hit stun. Everything that they take is applying hit stun. That is the first thing they learn to deal with situations is hit stun. And I think this is reinforcing behavioral this is a design that's reinforcing behaviors where brute force becomes the only apparent solution because it overtakes the usefulness of all the other systems we have in place that could solve the problems that hit stun is solving. So like, I'm simply envisioning a version of the game where instead of hit stun being the solution to keep combats from dragging out so long, the maneuvers were more powerful, or the power got shifted around so that other things were useful. One thing that Era was saying when we originally talked about it was bringing melds and combos more to the front of the system, especially because it's a system designed around teamwork, and hit stun is kind of teamwork, but it's just a very brute force, low level kind of teamwork.
Something that we were discussing when we were talking is moving hit stun to only apply instead of on everything. Since I don't know if the system works without hit stun at all, but putting it in and making it so it works specifically with strike, combos, and meld moves. Without maybe a special move feature to make it apply. Because we have it optional right now. I don't even know if the system fully works without it. I'm testing it. But also the problem with some newer players having struggles with it, and then we toss on that we're trying to push combos and stuff, and people are leaning a certain way with the whole thing. As Ryan was saying.
So what I can say for the very limited testing...
Real quick, just an aside, Geemond has been summoned by a new quote. Just wanted to point that
out.
Less than 30 minutes, got it.
Yep.
But the thing is that when I tested it, the first thing that I noticed when I did some limited combat tests just to see what would happen, because I was always iffy on the whole hit stun being listed as an optional rule, because I didn't really feel like it was, is that tanks and bosses and that sort of stuff become nightmares to deal with. And even utilizing other things, it gets really difficult to deal with them in a reasonable amount of time, even if you can eventually win. Because the thing about it is that, first off, Strike now becomes useless, because Strike's big feature is the double hit stun. If it doesn't apply the hit stun, you know, now it's just a more expensive move, which is kind of awful. I mean, granted, there's still some edge case stuff that you're able to do with it, where, you know, because it's not technically considered an attack, you could be at level 2 restrained and still strike someone, that sort of stuff. But in, like, the grand scheme of things, it made it so that way Strike was no longer a maneuver that existed for basically any real... It basically had no real use anymore. Tanks, especially heal tanks and bruiser archetypes, started being a lot stronger. Because the big thing about tanks is always that, like, you know, regardless of how tanky they are, you can just, like, multi-attack them or strike them, or, you know, the combos would do a little bit, but combos don't really play too much into hit stun because they cause almost no hit stun. But I haven't tested that in a while, so I could go back with some of the more modern things we have, like the dots and all that, and test it all without hit stun. It's just that, from what I remember, what I experienced when I did the testing, was it made combat take a while, because you couldn't wear down people as much.
Yeah, I'm worried that we're to what Raijin was saying, I'm worried that we're trading one problem for another, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because it does reward people immediately for even taking a swing and missing with an attack, but that's only really a reward so long as someone else is able to follow that up. So, for instance, like, one of the big things that you're able to do is if you have a Fury aspect to your build, one of the big things with that is wearing down an opponent really quickly, because they can't decide to not dodge it and just eat it and all that, so they're forced to take the hit stun. Like, the Fury builds are great at doing a lot of hit stun on people. Same with Strike builds.
Right.
Which I understand.
And so if you get rid of hit stun, there's a lot of builds that do stuff like that all of a sudden lose all of their supportive capabilities.
Yeah, and I'm absolutely not saying that, like, this would be an easy adjustment to make. There's obviously going to be, just in the simple fact that entire builds will be changing in viability, but I do think we have, like, it's annoying because hypothetically all of us here, we're probably not going to run into such a situation. We're going to be able to look at the full breadth of Scar and be like, okay, I see hit stun is very good, but we can also consider these other options, so we have more capabilities than just swinging at an enemy and whiffing to intentionally use hit stun. But even relatively decent players aren't always going to be mindful of that kind of thing and may not even be present enough. And I'm not even referring to the questionable players like Rin. I'm talking about the players that are actually pretty okay and understand what they're doing for the most part, but aren't all the way tuned into the spreadsheet math. And it's just, I worry that it's actually reinforcing really bad behaviors, and if adjusting things might make things more clear and more enjoyable for a lot of players.
as it stands right now, the system as it is built, honestly, hit stun isn't optional. So at the least, we definitely kind of have to remove the optional part of that, because as it is right now, so much relies on that. There is that problem of, having players that just aren't quite getting it. Ren is really the only one that comes to mind where we've had to explain it to him at least a dozen times, and he still doesn't get it.
I did
But-
re-combat tutorialize him, and he started playing a lot better after that. At
Yeah.
least when it comes to the combat aspects.
Temporarily.
I've just had a newer group start to play it, and I've had to explain it a couple of times now. So
Yeah,
also
I
played
mean,
it,
I
so.
can. There are reasonable, like, ways that we could attempt to adjust it. Like, for instance, we could try and see how it works if, it only happens when you get hit.
There's
like,
also
specifically, but God.
one thing Era also mentioned was because when I was talking to him, he added on to the idea instead of it just being every attack, making it specifically melds, combos, and strikes are what apply hit stun. So we still have hit stun in the system, but we're funneling players into these other maneuvers or other attacking types to also kind of try and introduce them to that kind of thing. And just for clarity, like while I do throw out Ren as being someone who is like absolutely the very bottom in terms of understanding the system, I'm honestly just thinking about even players like Vari and Viv who are completely decent, but I think they are very much getting stuck on a few things because it's too immediately rewarding, so they didn't feel like they needed to spread out and look at more options in a more reasonable time frame.
I mean, one thing that I think will help with that is like in the to-do list, like I did make a lot of random feat suggestions for basically like every single maneuver in the game to try and give maneuvers like
Right.
more power budget and all of that. But a lot of the problem that that people had was also more just I think the way that I described it at one point, and also I think Key described it, is they're still playing like they're playing Pathfinder, where like the character is just a monolith and the character does what the character does, and if it works, that's great, and if it doesn't work, then oh well, them's the dice. Instead of like actively seeking out solutions.
Yeah, that is one of the like, I know Vari had a lot of issues with Furry at the start being, he wasn't feeling very useful on that, and we had to explain to him that, no, you being a Fury build is actually very useful for the likes of Viv coming in. You're softening them up for Viv to destroy them. And that's kind
and then
of
he would never change his initiative to be... They would never change their initiative, so that way Osmond would go just before Narashi, even though we kept telling them. But it's just like... It's very... Like, I can definitely see what you're saying, where it's like encouraging certain behaviors. But it's also a good bit of people finding something that works well enough and then just sticking with it. Come hell or high water, even if it stops working as much, or there's another solution right in front of them. So, like, I can definitely see the benefits of making it so that way specific things cause hit stun. But then also, the amount of builds that leaves out to dry is super high. Because almost the only builds that don't benefit from hit stun, like themselves, are condition builds. Because there's no hit stun for your spiritual integrity. For a very important balance reason of, oh god, if we did that, it would be awful.
And even then, with condition builds, they do benefit from hit stun existing because that makes a condition build more valuable. Like, hit stun itself does not influence their capability with the conditions, but it does make it more valuable because they get to ignore all of that stuff altogether.
Well, the hit stun still applies versus them, so if you're trying to kill a condition build,
True.
they're going to have no defenses really quick.
Yeah. But
that's another reason why, is because it also acts as a counterplay, where if you have low defenses due to your build, hit stun also matters more than... So it's basically... There's a lot of builds that get completely hung out to dry if it's only strikes, melds, and combos. Standard multi-attack builds get left out to dry. Fury attack builds get left out to dry. Just punch them builds get left out to dry, where like one of their main things is just, you know, getting to make multiple standard action attacks. Initiative burst builds get left out to dry because they do a whole lot of individual attacks usually. I mean, heavy attack, like full action attackers, like for heavy weapons, full action moves, they don't really care about hit stun that much because their entire thing is, if I roll high enough, the hit stun, your defenses don't matter. Or they still benefit from it, but they aren't very reliant on it, I guess I should say.
Yeah, I'm just...
So it's... On one hand, I can definitely see where it's like people think that just because hit stun exists, they can do a multi-attack build, and even if they're just whiffing versus the boss constantly, they're quote-unquote helping. Which they are, but they could be helping a lot more.
So, yeah, this particular subject I pushed off for another day for a reason, because it's a little bit more on the complex side.
I mean, not really something, like, it's got to be discussed eventually.
Yeah.
And I don't
But that's
think...
why I didn't want to do it the other day.
Yeah.
Because we got to think about how we want it to work, in the long term, because if we have to move it away from being optional, that's fine, but we need to think about how this affects the game as a whole. Newer players, and unfortunately players like Ren that struggle with keeping track of all that stuff, because some players can't do that very well out there. So we've established that the system can't work without it. What do we do from there?
I mean, I guess we could make it so that way more things have byplay with hit stun, or more things take it into consideration, specifically on ones where we want to encourage its use. But
anyways, some of hit stun kind of gets jabbed in the foot by the fact that bosses have 2 turns.
Which is on purpose, because originally when we didn't do that, they got hit stunned into oblivion instantly. Like, by the time the last person went, they literally had no evasion or integrity left.
Yeah, you cannot have if bosses did not have 2 turns, then you would have to have them with minions in there. You could not just have a solo boss, period. Because then the boss just gets annihilated without
It
the
also just gets action economy out of existence.
that too.
Yeah. Which I understand. It's just there's a lot of what's a good way of wording that? There's a lot of interplay with it that makes things kind of weird.
Yeah, so
We're
basically
balancing for it.
everything is interconnected with it, so it's like
It's definitely not
But it's
optional.
optional.
It is not.
Yeah.
It is absolutely not optional. Because
But it's unfortunately not exactly
in ter-
weird for me.
Good.
But
in terms of some things, if we want to encourage the use of it, we could make it so that way strike is the the ones that we want them to use, like, you know, strike, combos, melds, stuff like that. Hold on.
halfway through the thought.
Sorry, I got interrupted by family.
All right, take your time. Zim, just be our beat, I guess. I'm gonna go take
Okay.
that.
I am back.
All right. Era's off taking medicine. I remembered where I was after my family interrupted me. Oh, he said he can hear, so go for it. All right. So what I was thinking is, if we want to lead it into the things we want them to use more, which is strike, combos, melds, all of that sort of stuff. First off, we could have it so that way combos and melds, even though they count as one attack, they apply the hit stun of every attack that's behind them.
I was thinking the same thing.
And in addition to that, have those three be the only ones that cause hit stun on a miss. You could have it work like that. Because, like, you know, how it works right now with normal moves is if you miss but you roll positive successes, it's still, you know, causes the hit stun, we could make it so that way in order to cause hit stun with those sorts of like, you know, normal attacks, you need to actually hit.
I don't think that's a viable solution, because that's still going to lead into the same problem that we have. Or it's still going to leave hit stun as a useless mechanic. Because, and it's going to essentially make it where, well, not much point in having integrity, because I want to put everything into evasion, because if they don't hit me, then if I've got a huge evasion, they just can't hit me, period. And it has no repercussions, and, you know, no point in it, no need for integrity if there's no chance for them to ever get past my evasion.
Yeah, but then someone swings like 2 strikes at you and all of a sudden your evasion's in the dirt. Granted, that's already the case anyway, but there's also the problem of bypass accuracy at that point. Because someone just uses the bypass accuracy move against you, and all of a sudden your knees are shot out from under you.
A bypass accuracy Fury attack would be hilarious, though.
Unfortunately, doesn't work.
I know it doesn't, but it'd be hilarious. Raijin. Thoughts on what Tal just said?
I feel like this is going to shift the balance a little bit towards those maneuvers, which is probably a good thing in terms of the overall balance, but I'm not sure if it's really going to address the fact that what I'm going to call our expected average player, their first solution that they're going to interface with is hit stun. And I worry that if they get too stuck on some things, instead of going for those maneuvers, they might instead start focusing even harder on piling on the accuracy instead.
I mean,
like the suggestion makes sense, and I understand that this is probably relatively balanced. I'm just not certain that it's actually going to address the concern I have that it's creating a misaligned incentive.
Well, part of the issue is that when it comes to a potentially misaligned incentive of hit stun, rewarding people and incentivizing people and teaching them that it's okay to attack and miss instead of take into account everything you have available to you in order to make like actual legitimate good progress on a fight or do things correctly, which is also that we don't exactly want things to be prescriptive, like in a fight. On one hand, it should be better for people to perform the correct counterplay. On the other hand, it gets really boring if all they're allowed to do in order to solve it is perform the prescriptive counterplay to what's going on. On one hand, it's not the best if they just keep trying to go all in on accuracy and trying to hit the enemy regardless in order to, continue on with just piling on hit stun. But you can do that in order to win, so long as your character is built to do that appropriately. And I don't want to get into things where it's like well, it's not in the design idea for you to solve it this way, so it no longer works. Instead, I don't like I do want to push people to perform better correct actions if possible. But on the other hand, we also have a system where it's explicitly designed like a bunch of Legos where you can put together whatever you want to do into it. And it's a big thing where if you give people a box of Legos and you have a picture on it of the thing that they're supposed to build, and they go and build something else entirely, well, it's not the thing that you really intended them to do. But on the other hand, you gave them the pieces, they did what they wanted with it.
I think part of the point is, though, Tal, is that it's pushing people to think that they need to build hit stuns that take maximum advantage of a hit stun. So you're handing them a box of Legos with all these parts in it, with a picture on the box, and everybody looks at the picture in the box and goes, oh, if we don't do that, we're building an inferior build. Because we're not taking advantage of this really huge, massive mechanic. I think that's more of what Raijin is saying. Which has led... Raijin's point is that it makes the Fury build seem like the go-to to go-to. Shut up, phone.
Well, I mean, maybe, but then people try out the Fury build, and then it's like, oh, I'm doing almost nothing myself. Until, like, you get, like, really late game with a Fury build. But it's also, like... Because the thing is that there's plenty of things that people try to use, and it's not like every single person is going for a Fury build. In a game, there's generally maybe one person that goes for a Fury build. Maybe one person that goes for the Fury build, because they go, oh, hey, hit stun. Like, that's... Vari specifically did that because he saw the hit stun and wanted to go along with it. But in the vast majority of games that I've been in, there has not been someone who specifically goes for the Fury build with the intention of being like, okay, I just want to cause as much hit stun as possible. Because in the games of people who I know have done Fury attack stuff, first of all, there was Vayne. He was one of the first Fury attackers, but his thing was stacking on damage stat changes, like physical damage stat changes, because every single physical damage stat change applies to every single Fury attack, so he would, abuse that. That was his strategy. Jace does it, but Jace is more of a crit build than anything. So it's more like he doesn't suffer as much from the low dice numbers in later parts of a Fury, because he's critting a bunch anyways. So
I actually avoided going full Fury with Jace because I don't think the ST could handle it if I did that.
Yeah, well, I know you had it for like a little bit.
Yeah, I pulled it back because it was going nuts.
Yeah, because crit Fury. And then Osmond does it, but he didn't do it to... Like, he did it, but didn't really use it in a way that took advantage of what it was. It's more like he just saw the hit stun and thought hit stun good. Which, like, I guess is kind of the point of this, but... Like, I'm trying to think... Toshi used Fury on Brussels, but he never really learned the system anyway.
Well, that was
Considering...
more storyteller fault, but yeah. Because the storyteller didn't really use the system.
Okay. When I say that he didn't really learn the system, I mean, remember that Pokemon move list thing that I made?
Yeah.
Almost right away, when originally this was supposed to be okay, let's do Pokemon, but like correctly in terms of like a tabletop. Yeah, so he was still using the version on that like last year.
Ah, fair.
That's what I'm saying. When it's like, okay, he technically used it, but he didn't actually use it. So I mean, it's like, yeah, some people do pick up Fury builds in order to play around with the hit stun, but I don't know how much of an endemic problem that really is in terms of incentive compared to uh people just, I'm gonna say, like, generally going on autopilot with their build, where they make a character that does X thing for Y reason, and then so they make it so that way that character only tries to do X thing for Y reason. Like, I'm really not sure how much of it is hit stun's fault in particular versus people just deciding something ahead of time and then sticking with it come hell or high water, even if it would really behoove them to do something else in this particular encounter.
I will definitely say, like, I fall into that. I think most tabletop players do. Like,
Yeah, which I'm not saying it as like a personal attack. I'm saying, like,
well, yeah,
you know, yeah.
I'm not taking it as one. I'm saying that that's just how tabletop players typically work. It really is. And it also doesn't help that it can be very difficult to get a fully fleshed out move, especially at the start. Which is something that I've run into with a couple of characters. But I also go for dynamic typically, so that's also partially on my bad there.
Yeah, you're at that point you're paying for a full action with added tax.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Um,
you know, if you go with a full action, that's expensive.
But either way, at the base of it, I think that the biggest issue at hand is people struggling to understand how hit stun works. I don't personally think that hit stun is a problem. I'm absolutely all for making it where combos and melds apply the hit stun from all of the constituent parts of them. I think that's a good move. I definitely think we remove the optional part of it of hit stun, 'cause, yeah, the system doesn't work without it. In order for us to remove hit stun from the system at this point, we would have to revamp every single build. And not only that, but we would also have to revamp how defenses work altogether. Evasion and integrity.
Yeah.
Because as it stands right now, like, you get a couple of buffs especially going, and I know Furvis, for one, would be completely untouchable in about 2 turns of combat. Even against this big group that we're facing here, because none of them would be able to hit him without... Okay, well, Tao's luck aside, but without really good luck, they would not be able to even touch him. Just
going by
period.
expected roll value.
Yeah, going by that, they wouldn't be able to touch him, because he's just got really good defenses. And
Which is what I was trying to say with the tank characters go crazy if you remove hit stun.
Yeah. The big point of hit stun is a counterplay to tank builds, because otherwise you can't do anything. Like, sure, you can stack bypass accuracy. Like, all the enemies could have bypass accuracy, but then they're still facing off against his massive integrity and only doing chip damage every turn. Which, sure, eventually they'll overwhelm that. But, like, I plan to put a healing over time move on him, and at that point, well, buy all of your... Goodbye to all of that stuff, like... Chip damage won't matter if he's just regenerating what he's taking every turn.
Yeah. I will say though that people should rely on hit stun a lot less than they currently do. But I think that's more just people going on autopilot. And like, and it's not like they're just autopiloting the most
Somebody
like,
is typing and coming through, by the way.
because they're autopiloting in the exact same way that you normally autopilot in other tabletop systems. Because, like, you know, if you're playing a fighter in Pathfinder, you start your turn and you go, all right, cool, I'm gonna attack this person using X weapon, and maybe I'll use this one minor ability to go along with it because I want this to work more. And then you roll your dice, and if you hit, you hit. If you miss, you miss. And then, like, that's kind of the end of it. Meanwhile, in Star, we do reward them for even making the attempt, provided that, you know, they didn't, like, you know, botch or fuck it up entirely somehow. By going, all right, cool, they had to dodge your attack, so, you know, their evasion just went down a little bit because they had to spend time doing that and focus doing that. Which people, I think, latch onto a lot because it's like, oh, hey, I'm being rewarded for, like, you know, even making my attempt at it. So I do think that people do naturally latch onto that, especially if they're used to other systems where if you miss, it's a you lose, you get nothing, sir. Sort of thing where you get no, like, you don't even get a minor benefit from it. So people will kind of naturally latch onto that because they're like, oh, hey, that's different. I can use that.
And honestly, I think a lot of them are happier playing the system because of that.
And yeah, I definitely think that it's going to be better for us if we try to find ways to accentuate other strategies aside from just doing the whole hit stunny thing where they try and lower someone's stats. But like at the end of the day, you know, a hit stun, aside from completely revamping our entire combat system, I don't really see much of a way to change how hit stun works a lot of the time. Like, I definitely think we could put more, like, interplay and byplay into the, systems that we want to reward people for using to implement more hit stunny things. But as a mechanic, like, its two main uses is to keep tanks in check and to, you know, impose a legitimate threat to condition builds. Like, that's its two main things.
Yep. So before we continue, did you have other things to add on, Raijin? Or thoughts currently? Because, okay, we know it's not optional right now. That definitely needs to get removed. Do you have...
I mean, not really. It hit stuns. It's not going to be adjusted. quite clear that it's going to be too much.
Yep.
It's not a matter of it being too much to remove. I'm willing to put in the work, but also
We can just step away from hit stun entirely, because the entire premise was, I feel like a lot of players are getting caught, exactly as Darius was saying, with taking the one thing that the character does and going with it. And hit stun in particular stood out to me as the most egregious example of an incentive that has been built into the system that is accidentally creating these kinds of poor behaviors. And at this point, it's too much is built onto the concept of hit stun, and that's fine. I'm not exactly trying to say that the whole system should be revamped just because I think hit stun is negative, but I'm trying to focus on, hey, I think that there's more so than should be expected from learning a new system, a lot of friction in people trying to actually integrate into the SCAR system. Hit stun just seemed like the easiest thing to point at in my perspective.
I think a lot of that just has to do with people coming from like D&D, Pathfinder, all those sorts of things. Because I'm pretty sure if we put a World of Darkness like player who like mostly plays World of Darkness games into SCAR, they would immediately just start swimming.
I think we have to admit that we got more of an advanced or whatchamacallit.
I mean, that was the goal anyway.
Yeah.
Was to be more advanced than Dungeons and Dragons and a little bit less advanced than Pathfinder. And we definitely still have not reached Pathfinder's level of, okay, time to investigate an entire, hundreds of feats in order to figure out where I want this build to go.
True. But no, the hit stun to meld moves and combos, I think we absolutely should just do. Full stop.
Yeah.
That is a good move.
It will help with the incentive, because that's the direction, as far as I understand it, that we want to push people towards teamwork, and I think that'll help push more people towards it entirely. So
yeah, that I think is a good move to make. I don't think that hit stun is the big barrier. It's very much a people are used to D&D or Pathfinder, and it's a adjustment to understand this. But people that are new, like I've seen a few people that have been completely new to tabletop, like Silver for the example, who have done just fine with SCAR. Because they don't have all of the D&D rules still in their head that are just sitting there making a mess of understanding how SCAR works. Ren's a bit of an outlier. Ren's an outlier.
it just might be something we might want to keep in mind as we move forward if we start to see a lot more of that.
I've also seen that most people, from my experience, most people do seem to grasp hit stun pretty easily.
I think people have trouble tracking it.
Tracking it is another thing, but that's kind of just tabletop in general. I definitely agree. Tracking things, like, tracking it is a difficulty for some, but that's just... It doesn't matter if it was hit stun or health or whatnot, they would have issues. And they do have issues. I've seen Ren not actually write down that he's taken damage. Well, that's a
Ren's an
Yeah.
outlier. We can't.
Ren's an outlier, but I have seen that a couple of times with a few people.
Yeah, I will say like just to like uh, prove a point on this, the amount of time that we have to remind people that they have integrity, and that when we say take 10 damage, that's before their integrity, is like people will forget even the most like basic stuff at times.
Honestly,
But it's
yeah,
like,
I
Will
think
admit I have forgotten my own integrity once or twice.
yeah, about to say like, but that's just you're playing a complex game with numbers, so it's like at some point you're going to forget. Oh wait, yeah, fuck, I have things that affect this.
honestly, I
But
think integrity itself has been more of an issue for people to grasp than anything else.
well, yeah, because we
Legitimately.
called it integrity instead of something like damage reduction. Because if we called it like physical damage reduction or something, like people would probably understand it more. But
What I think might help is actually making a small checklist. Like, literally wouldn't need to be very long, but just giving people a combat checklist. Okay, you've got an attack coming in. Did it hit? Did it surpass your evasion? Yes, no? Well, make a flow chart, you know. Um, did it hit? Yes, no? Cool. Either way, you reduce or you put 1 hit stun on your evasion. Yes, it hit. Okay. Now take the damage, subtract your integrity, and just go like that. And then at the start of their turn, they also have a checklist of remember to remove your hit stun. Remember you have these actions available to you, etc., etc. Because that's another thing that a lot of people forget is that you don't have a move action. You have 2 standard actions. I've run into a lot of people that think they can't do anything because they've got they did their attack, but now they've got a movement action, but they don't want to move. And it's like, no, that's a standard action. You can do whatever you want with that.
So you're gonna start enforcing the MTG announce the step you're on thing that needed to happen.
Not really enforcing it, just a little helpful checklist for the new players in particular.
That's
Yeah.
the joke. The first thing you teach people in MTG, incoming, draw step, main phase, combat,
Yeah.
main phase 2, pass turn.
untap, upkeep, draw step.
Yes.
But
Or income,
like
but-
legitimately, it is because they don't have the steps like as drilled into their heads because they're new, so why would they? But I definitely think there's things we can do to incentivize it, but I do think that a large amount of the issue is people being really used to D&D and Pathfinder-esque things. Because in D&D and Pathfinder, characters are monoliths. They just do what they do. It is very rare for a character in one of those games to have, like, rules as written actual options. And I think that implementing a bunch of new feats would definitely help people get inspired to go like, oh, hey, I would actually really benefit from doing this. But I mean, it's kind of up to them. Like, we could put in the things. We're definitely going to be making that combo and meld change for Hitstun.
It sounds like we're at a point where we're good though for this discussion, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To avoid us dwelling on it more. So yeah,
Let me make
Hitstun's
the-
not optional.
Let me make those notes. Alright, that's been noted. There are definitely a lot of big issues that I've been struggling to figure out how to handle with the system. Like the feeling of being XP starved that most players are facing, which honestly
That's option overdrive.
What was that?
That's option overdrive. People wanting to do a lot of things.
Yeah, that is. And with that, I think a lot of the problems would be solved if we put in some build guidelines. But we also don't want to put those in until we are done with the system. Because things are changing, and we don't want to have another thing to keep updating every couple of updates. But I know that would be a huge help for the system. Huge help. You know,
Yeah.
putting those in, being like, hey, you want to focus down a bit at the start, only go for a couple of things, maybe pick this up, this, that, this, the other thing. Here you go, here's what you want to get. We put that in.
And the amount of and the amount of people that, like, I've looked at their sheets and I'm like, because they talk about, like, you know, how XP starved they are and how they don't have enough for, like, XYZ thing, and then I look at their sheet and they, like, maxed out, like, 5 different skills already. And I'm like, guys, I get that having 5 in a skill is nice because you feel like you've completed it, but the last 2 dots are, like, more expensive than the prior 3 dots combined. Please stop doing this. And then I tell them to, like, just back out the last dot on, like, 2 of them, and then it's like, congratulations, now you can buy, like, 2 more feats or, you know, like, build a whole ass new move. So I also think that it's a lot of people wanting to get their skills maxed out, and it's just like, guys, that's really expensive.
That is one thing that I've considered possibly, like, this was something that I kind of wanted to do way back at the very start of, okay, you can only upgrade your skills so far until you get to a certain point in the game.
Yeah, that's fairly common for games like a lot of the tabletops that use similar dot systems. What is it called? Or it's really expensive to go above. Savage Worlds, I think. What's that game with the gods? God.
Do you mean Exalted?
Yes, Exalted uses a similar system too.
Yeah, the World of Darkness system stuff does that a lot. That's why I was saying, like, you know, if we pull in a World of Darkness player, like, they'll probably look at our system and be like, oh, I get it.
Because it uses a similar thing. But
yeah, I know. That's why I was saying, like, you know, in terms of, like, interpolability.
The basic system is very understandable. Most people pick that up very quick.
Yeah, I still dislike the whole, like, limiters thing, because, like, if I make it a character and I want them to be really good at one thing and I have them focus on that and I try to get that up really early, like, that feels good for a character. Like, I'll just use Riv as an example. Getting his academics up really fast is, like, important for the character. Or, like, Asher getting medicine up really fast, kind of important for the character. The problem isn't doing that for a skill, it's that people are doing that for, like, 5 of them.
Well, perhaps something we could consider, which I know is going to be a bit of a pain for most players in our existing playtests, but we can allow 1 skill to go above. You know, you can have 1 and maybe 2 if your storyteller allows it, that you can, you know, max out. But otherwise, I'd say until they get to tier 3, which is 15 attributes, their skills are locked to 3. Then at, tier 3, they can then go to 4 dots in a skill. And then at tier 4, they can go to 5.
That'd be so hard to implement.
I don't think it would be hard to implement into the system. For the existing games, that would be a pain. Absolutely. But for, a new campaign coming in, I think that would be fine. But I know that I would be... Oh boy, that would be a pain to do across the games.
To be straight up honest, I'm pretty sure I don't have a character in existence right now with 5 dots in anything.
I have several.
I don't. I haven't pushed a single. I think the first one I'm going to have is RGB pushing medicine to 5 because he is a non-combatant by choice. So he might be my first character that gets 5 dots in a skill. I don't think I have another. Yeah, none of my characters have 5 dots in a skill at all.
I know Venro has several skills at 3 dots currently. Asher obviously has medicine at... He actually has a lot of skills at 4, and then 2 at 5 currently.
I push skills to 3, and then I usually stop, grab some specialties, and then push to 4. And then masteries, and then push to 5, so...
Furvis currently has 5 dots in integrity and 3 skills that are at 4 dots. And he's only tier 2.
But
also, I went and double checked something because I do have access to a couple people's sheets, so I wanted to see what they were doing. Yeah, no wonder Vari thought that Osmond was constantly XP starved. Back when we had 600 available XP, when we were like tier 2 characters, he had 1 skill at 5 and multiple other skills at 4. Yeah, my guy, no wonder you felt like you were XP starved. You put 90% of your character's budget into skills.
We hear a lot of people say that, or say they feel they're XP starved, though.
Yeah.
It's not.
But like checking Narashi's sheet, she has like 3 things at 3 different skills at 5 right now, and a couple at 4. Only 1 at 4. She backed out a couple of them. But like that for example is, it's not like awful, but it is also like so expensive. But in terms of what we can do is I don't know about like hard restrictions on it, because part of it is like, if you want your character to be a skill monkey, that is a legitimate choice. The problem is people stumbling into doing that. And I know that I keep recommending people, and what I think has been helping people is I have been recommending people to be very sure when they raise any skill above 3 dots. Because I tell them that buying a specialty in that skill for what you want to use it for is cheaper than just buying another dot in the skill.
Which is why I rarely go above 3.
Yeah, but like I like directly tell people that. I don't think it's mentioned anywhere. We might just want to make a recommendation about that somewhere important in the book. And then if they decide to skill monkey after that, then they're actively deciding to skill monkey.
The problem is figuring out where to put that. Because the only
probably
place...
the character advancement section.
I suppose that could work. Yeah, that's probably the best place for it, yeah.
But yeah, it is just a thing where it's like people really like to try and max out the skill because they want their character to be good at it, but like they're paying such a premium for that. Like the 4th and 5th dot in a skill combined is what, like 45 XP right there alone. Like, you know, you could buy 3 specialties for that.
Or get a full move, or...
Yeah, or a whole ass move, yeah. But it's like, you know, it's a very big part of your character's power budget. And it's like making a purposeful choice on that, like, you know, it makes sense. But it's also like, you know, at that point you are dedicating part of your character's power budget into specifically that. So it's like, yeah, that it doesn't look like much on your sheet, but that's where your XP's going. And so I think just putting a warning about that is probably the best way to deal with it. Because, yeah, sometimes it's like, Riv's sheet is ridiculous. He has a minimum of 3 dots in every single knowledge skill. That's ridiculous. That is a ridiculous build. You shouldn't do that. But it's Riv, so I wanted to do it. So it's like, you know, people just need to... People just need to properly... I guess budget. Like, I'm not trying to sound like a fucking boomer or something, but, like, guys.
I think that's a good option, though, putting in that note, being like, hey, this is a very expensive investment. But I think that should possibly help. Otherwise, we don't really have a whole lot of time left.
Could quickly go through the feat list.
Well, one more thing I wanted to, that I had an idea for, a upgrade for Primeval Cloaking that allows you to apply Stealthy to other abilities that don't have it by default. Specifically, like, it's a permanent purchase that you are specifically assigning Stealthy to that. Like Primeval Teleportation, for example. If you want to be able to use it with your cloaking, you can purchase the Stealthy trait for your teleportation through the Primeval Cloaking. Because it doesn't have it by it doesn't have the option for that by itself. And that's an idea that I had last night. Wanted to put it out there, see what you guys thought.
I mean, maybe, but you already have Knives in the Dark. You just spend 2 shimmers, and then you could use any ability as without breaking Cloak.
Yeah, but this would be a permanent thing, rather than something that you're applying in the moment, if you wanted to go that route.
I mean, if we want things to allowed to be stealthy, it should be on its actual things, not require you to go down cloaking just so you can unlock stealthy on, like, teleportation.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah. I'd rather put it on things, because otherwise, that and just being able to blindly put it on everything without any cost is kind of...
Well, there'd be a cost. It's 10 XP. But...
Yeah, what I was suggesting is 10 XP per thing, so, you know, you buy it...
It'd be better just to shove it on those things and make it like a general thing that you can add to almost any thing instead of going down the Primeval Cloak.
Wow.
And some things I don't exactly know how you'd stealthily lift a rock with your mind. I'm sorry.
Well, the stealthy trait is more of a... By default, they'll have some indication that you're doing it. Like, you are like, in the case of that, you're visibly focusing on the rock. Whereas, if you add the stealthy trait, I mean, they might see you, but they don't see, like, you might be even looking away from the rock, and so they don't know that you're the one lifting it, but it is being lifted. The stealthy doesn't necessarily
Uh,
mean that it is that they're not aware that it's happening. It's just that they don't know that you're doing it.
Besides,
Those are anything.
telekinesis already has an upgrade for that called invisible telekinesis for
Yep, it
18
does.
XP.
It was a blind point, but either rate, yes, on the
Yeah.
thing would be better itself if we want to add it to other primeval features.
Also, the stealthy usually costs 12, like as a trait usually. So,
Oh, was it?
do we just
12?
want to standardize? Usually, yeah.
I was going
So,
off of
if we are gonna put it, what'd you say?
Oh, I was going off of. Oh, yeah, it is 12.
Yeah, it's
I thought I was going off of the move one, and I for some reason thought it was 10. That's why I suggested
Yeah.
10, but I meant the
no, that's
same
fair.
cost there.
Yeah. Which I guess invisible telekinesis might get dropped down to 12 then. I don't know. But by default it's 12, so if it's more expensive, that's fine, but by default it's 12. But yeah, I would prefer it to just be on the actual abilities themselves. Like the paths.
That's fine.
I don't want people to have to go down a side path just to unlock something for their main path. That's kind of a feels bad.
This is something that... This is why we have discussions. It didn't occur to me that, yes, it would be smarter to just apply it directly to teleportation or telekinesis or such. I didn't think of that. That's why we have discussions. I'm not the only one making these decisions.
Yes, you are. It's all your fault, Zim. It's all your fault.
No, it's not. We all have free will.
I don't know about that. I think as devs we don't.
So anyways, yeah. 12 XP. Just where appropriate. There. I'm good with 12 XP for all of them, and yeah. I will add those. Okay, still need to sit down and figure out how I want Primeval Path, the Flux to work, but we'll come back to that later. For now, yeah, we can get through a couple of these feats.
Yep, they should be pretty quick, because they mostly just play with... None of them are, like, a part of the basic, like, making it a quick action, doing this, doing that with it, because Zim said that he would just add those as a blanket thing to most of them. So instead, these all play around with something that they do. So the top one, you can ignore that, because obviously that's just me having a copy-paste thing available. For aim, one thing that I thought of was point aim. May make an aim against a particular enemy, benefiting from aim for every attack this turn when targeting that enemy. Instead of doing an aim where it's just your next attack against any target is going to be at that advantage. Instead, you could use this in conjunction with a multi-attack or something in order to keep benefiting from it, or aim against a particular enemy and then do a standard action, then a quick action. That would both get to benefit. But it's only against that one particular enemy. This would also be better for like single target aims as opposed to AoE aims. Because AoE aims apply to everything, this would just apply to one particular target.
I kind of like the idea of this. Yeah.
Yeah. So like you could aim at a boss, you can aim at a minion, you can aim at the healer in the back, whatever. But it's instead of it being every attack or every target of one attack, instead it's every attack against one target. And obviously you get to decide if you're using it or not. If it gets greenlit, I'm just gonna change it. Oop. I'm just gonna do the quick little green. No, wait, that was the wrong one.
You got it
Little
there,
green
Cal?
highlight. Yep, there we go. I was like, oh, it's one to the side, and then I went to the left instead of the right. I just had a brain fart moment. Another one that I thought of was Held Aim, where you're no longer forced to use your aim on your next attack and may instead choose when to expend your aim. Because right now, your aim is just against your next attack.
That one I'm definitely not sure is worth 25 XP. It is useful, but I'm wondering if we make it a cheaper feat or make it just a base part of aim. Because I'm not sure by itself it's worth 25 XP. Thoughts? Insane ramblings?
Thinking about ways to maybe make it slightly better without making it, like, cracked.
Just keep it simple and do it at discount.
Cool, 15 XP then?
Yeah.
I was leaning closer to 10 myself. Like, it's useful, but...
I would that's what I was thinking, honestly.
What was that?
Like, I'm fine with it, just...
10 is what I was thinking.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, okay. Alright, so that was my miscellaneous ideas for aim. Got a couple ones for brace. And as a reminder, some of these, like, it was just, I have a random idea, so I'm throwing it in.
That's fine. It's what I do all the time.
Yep, Vital Brace. Gain a preventative health shield when using brace equal to your secondary scale.
I really like that one.
Little mini shield, but, you know, if you don't have another source of preventative, it kind of makes you self-sufficient if you're spamming brace.
Yeah. I really like that one. Again, I'm not certain it's worth the 25.
Alright, let me just put it to you this way. Using this right now means every time Nova uses brace ever for any reason, he gets 3 preventative health automatically.
Okay, we're keeping it as is.
lol.
I figured that would be a good way to explain it. Especially because it goes off of secondary scale. It rewards you for from going into your the secondaries. Which, tanks normally don't do that much because they want all of their base stats to be as high as possible. So,
Now,
tanks... God.
that then has the question of, is it worth it still?
I was going to say, and then for other people, it gives a good benefit of, for instance, if you do go down your secondaries, it gives you a reason to care about brace a lot more.
Brace is good and most useful for not tanks, to be square.
Yeah.
So giving it that little boost makes it better for the DPS that usually hangs in back when the enemy gets up in their face and they got a brace.
Yeah.
Having that little extra pop of health is the thing that will save them, so I'm fine.
Yeah,
with
the reason that I brought up the fact that tanks normally don't care about their secondary attributes too much, at least in terms of classical tanks, is that it means that tanks aren't getting the most shield possible compared to other people.
Others are. And others are the ones that are going to need it more.
Yeah, but tanks will still like it because, you know, oh, hey, preventative health shield. But, you know, it has more utility for other people. Another one is called Brace for Impact. Go ahead.
Perhaps something is something that I... What if you have this feat and you use a leadership path to have somebody use Brace, then you can apply your preventative health as well with that. So basically, you know, I tell you to use brace, and then you get preventative health equal to my secondary scale.
In that case, we could make it so that way, if you're using a leadership feat, the person receiving the benefit can choose to either use your like your upgrades to the feat or their upgrades to the maneuver. Like,
Yeah, just make that a leader or a leadership thing that a leader can do. If they follow
Yeah.
instructions, maybe use one of your stats instead of their own.
yeah, they could choose to use your upgrades instead of theirs.
That would
So
just
you
be
know
a
that way, if
super
someone
big-
has like quick brace or something, whatever we end up naming that, and that doesn't matter for this, but you know the person with leadership has vital brace, they could choose to just use vital brace because the leader's supplying that. It could either be instead of, or the leader can just directly supply.
Well, what I'm saying is that as part of this feat, those with the leadership path can also apply it to those that they are having brace.
Well, the reason I'm saying it should go the other way is because there's going to be a lot of feats that like provide a specific benefit, like in this list right here. So instead of on each of them potentially writing each of them, instead it should just be on leadership. That leadership lets you spread your maneuver-based feats if you have someone do that maneuver they accept.
Oh, that's what... Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
Instead of writing it on like fucking each of these things, instead we can just be like, all right, cool. Leader can supply that.
Well, real quick before we continue, what do we want to make that cost?
That feels not. Is that NCAPy? That's
That
close
feels
to
20-ish.
Yeah.
That feels 20-ish.
There we go.
Because that would just apply for all of them. So that's like, oh yeah, no, this is what I'm doing. That's like a 20-ish. That's a 20 that the leadership person will feel happy to pay.
Yeah, I'm good with 20 XP on that. So an upgrade for the leader to apply their maneuver upgrades alongside granting the maneuver.
Yep.
It's just blanket across the board, whatever they've got. Cool.
Yep.
Now being a Pokemon trainer is now a valid thing.
It gives me something to spend all of Himbert's XP on.
True. I mean,
I was
besides,
wondering
it
how
should
much
probably
experience
work like
that
that anyway.
You can spend his experience on all the things that Thales is going to be teaching him because you don't understand a curriculum is being written.
I honestly have not actually built out a character sheet for him yet because I have no idea what to spend all of his stuff on. I just have kind of minion stats basically for him, but I also know that he would have all of the leadership stuff. But now I can, you know, pick and choose what he picks up and such, and have something to actually spend it on, because he's not really going to be building out moves. Outside of, you know, throw. Which he's very good at.
But yeah, honestly, like, maneuvers should really be where a leader is focused anyway, and we kind of already had them focused anyway.
Yeah.
So, it makes sense. This one is... The next one is one that I came up with, which might need to be expanded out, but just like base idea. Which is Brace for Impact. When braced, charges do not get -1 power difficulty against you.
I'm completely fine with that one.
Yeah, that one's good.
Yep. It's a little bit niche, but there's nothing for like trying to have like anti-charge stuff. And I figured if one thing should be the anti-charge thing, it should be Brace. So.
If it's niche, we could reduce its cost.
Yeah, I was just about to say that it is a niche one. I think we should reduce the cost.
15.
Yeah.
15, yeah.
We could also make it so that way they're just immune to the charge, like the charge's benefits, but I feel like it's more thematic if it's just the power. What do you guys think?
I like just the power, yeah.
Okay. Torn, because in Pathfinder there is anti-charging things, and they are fucking fantastic. Too niche to really ever pick up, but they're fucking fantastic.
Is this going to be another 10 or is it going to be 15? What are we feeling?
I was leaning towards 15.
Same.
All right. There is one that I thought up for cleanse, which is called Encompassing Cleanse, which allows you to cleanse as a full action and allows you to attempt to cleanse on every negative effect on you at once. As a full action.
I think it's too much.
Well, the fact that it's a full action probably would also require deep cleanse.
Yeah, we could have a prereq of deep cleanse.
Because it's basically deep cleanse, but better.
Yeah, but on
outside
a
of the full
boss-
action part.
On a boss, this kind of just throws any condition builds right out the window. And I can, since we're doing that whole cleansing an enemy thing move, wouldn't this apply? That move trait that we were going to replace the other two with?
Yes.
So
But
would-
obviously instead it would be on positives.
yeah, so wouldn't this allow somebody to look at somebody who's been buffing and just go, no buffs for you, all gone?
Well, they still have to get past the opponent's spiritual integrity.
I have some concerns with it. If we want to proceed, we can, but I have some concerns with it.
It's part of the reason that I thought about it is mostly because it is very possible to make a condition build where even if the opponent spends the entire turn cleansing, they can't even attempt to cleanse against everything you put on them.
And also the forced cleanse trait is only positive. So this would not have anything to do with that.
Yep, Oh, so this would not apply to that, because I
No.
thought the lenses would.
No,
The deep
encompassing cleanse would not apply to, at least we don't have it in the notes at all, that even deep cleanse wouldn't apply with the hostile cleanse.
I was supposed to.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be on positive effects instead of negative effects.
Oh, right, the hostile, okay, I see.
Like, I'm fine chopping this down. This was me, again, like I said, going like, all right, cool, here's an idea.
Yeah, because Deep Cleanse allows you to do 2. With a full action, I would be fine with, like, up to 4 or 5. All seems like kind of rough.
So right now in our notes for hostile cleanse, there is nothing about it benefiting from any feats.
Is
It
there
was supposed
anything...
to. When we were talking about it, it was supposed to.
It's
'Cause it's
not
cleansed,
in the
so
notes
it'll
because
apply.
I think we ultimately decided not to because we didn't put it in the notes.
No, we also didn't put in it doesn't apply in the notes, so... I'm pretty sure we intended them to.
Yeah, it was, because it was supposed to be a thing where you get your feats against it. Because then it would also be really weird, because it'd be like, oh, well, you're trying to hostile cleanse, so now you can't use it as a quick action. Even if you have rapid cleanse. That, and it's also a sub-maneuver, so Usually the sub-maneuvers benefit from the things in the
What?
overarching maneuver.
Actually, we tend to specify if they do benefit from it.
I thought we had it working like super types, where if it benefits in the main one, it benefits in the sub one, but if it doesn't,
Not,
it doesn't apply in reverse.
not necessarily. And either way, like, Hostile Cleanse would be something you use on your turn. Like, I'm okay with you being able to use Hostile Cleanse as a quick action, but would have no impact on what action economy the opponent uses.
No, I'm saying you couldn't do that then, because if you don't benefit from your feats on Hostile Cleanse, you don't have Rapid Cleanse, so you have to do it as a standard action.
I was under the impression that Hostile Cleanse benefited from all those feats and stuff, so...
Alright, so do we want Hostile Cleanse to benefit from Quick Cleanse then? And
Yeah.
Deep Cleanse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Because those I'm fine with. I'm just worried about, like, a full erasure thing.
Well, either way, like, this isn't necessarily a
Oh.
full erasure.
I found where we put it. We didn't put it in the Hostile Cleanse sub-maneuver, we put it in the Move Trait Forced Cleanse of Cleanse Feats Apply.
Oh,
We stuck it one down.
okay, well, we'll clarify that to be specifically Deep Cleanse then on that one as well. Because that one also does not make sense for it to be Quick Cleanse, because it's based on what the move is.
Yeah.
But we'll specify what ones apply with this, and this one, I would say it does not... It cannot be used as part of Hostile Cleanse.
Alright.
But otherwise, I'm good with that.
On the next one, couple of random charge feats.
Wow.
Distant charge. Good.
I do need to call it at this point. I got a couple of conversations I need to go have, so...
Rip.
Yeah, unfortunately, we'll have to put it on
We
pause.
we spent too long debating hits done. Now we don't get all these fucking feats in. God damn it.
Sorry, we could have put it off. But...
It's alright. But, thank everybody for joining us on this dev session. For those watching on YouTube and Spotify and all that, check out our website, zgfgaming.com. We've got links for our Discord, Telegram, Mastodon, Blue Sky, Patreon, and more. There on the website, as well as down in the description below through our link tree. Thank you to my patrons, tippers, and subscribers. It is your support that keeps this channel alive and going. I cannot do this without your guys' help and your support, so thank you. Consider becoming a patron over at patreon.com/zgfgaming. It's one of the best ways to support the channel, though you can also do so by sharing the stream around, tipping to the channel directly, picking up packs of cards to stream loots, or just coming by and hanging out. But for now, thank you so much for joining, everybody, and I bid you all the most fondest adieu.
Bye.
Bye-bye.